Hey guys, on today's episode, I am going to be talking to you about the importance of not forming attachments to particular outcomes. This can be a very difficult thing and probably affects many of you out there. So stay tuned to listen for how not forming attachments to any particular outcome is going to cause you less stress and give you the ability to actually get more options in life. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I am your host, Melissa Oatman from melissaoatman.com. If you're new, I want to welcome you today. If you are returning, welcome back. So I wanted to talk to you today about something that I think is super important and that I try to do in my life, but it's been a fairly new thing for me. And that is letting go of attachments to any particular outcome. Now, I used to be an overthinker from way back. So whenever I would want to get a new job or walk into a new relationship, anything, have a new home, I would have all of these expectations about how my life should look. How will this new job be? How will this relationship be? How will my partner act in this relationship? And what I really did was I caused a lot of expectations that were not met. And then I ended up being disappointed and resentful and all of those things that go along with it. And I came up with the title of today's episode that attachment creates suffering. And the reason that I believe that attachment creates suffering is because we end up placing expectations that are very unrealistic on jobs, on people, on relationships. You name it, we tend to do that. And if you're an overthinker, it tends to be a lot worse because we spend most of our lives creating scenarios in our heads that don't end up playing out in real life. Sometimes that's a good thing because we can create bad scenarios, but a lot of times it's a bad thing because we create these things that we want in our mind. And then when they don't happen for us, we get very disappointed and we can become resentful at people for not living up to the expectations we had of them in our head. And this kind of living in a fantasy world, it's not really a great thing. So today we're going to talk about how you can let go of attachments to any kind of outcome. Because here's the deal. It's not an easy thing to do. We have been born and raised in a particular way. And many of us have been conditioned to do this all of our lives. I mean, we were read fairy tales as we were growing up. We watched movies where we knew that, guy meets girl and then here's the outcome. And of course, we all want that for ourselves. So then you play over this scenario like, well, it happened like this in the movie, so maybe it'll happen like this for me. And all we're doing is creating very unrealistic situations. And that is what leads to a lot of the suffering that we have because we put in our minds that if a person doesn't act like X, Y, or Z, then they must not love us, they must not care about us. And really, that's not true. And same thing with the job. Like a lot of people, and I've heard this a lot lately, that a lot of younger people expect to walk into a job and just get promoted and be, promoted right away and end up in their dream job with the sweet office and the salary and everything as soon as they walk into a company. And anyone who's been around for a while knows that's just not how it works. It's always about experience. And most of us have to earn our way to that position. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we go into a job thinking, I'm going to walk in here and I'm going to get promoted 7 times and I'm going to be the VP by the time I leave, and it's great to have all of those goals. But if you put those expectations on this job and you walk in there and it doesn't turn out that way at all, you realize you're starting in the very lowest rank and you've got to work your way up, then you may be extremely disappointed and you may think, I hate this job, I don't like it, it's not fulfilling. When really, the problem wasn't really that you don't like the job. The problem is you created this reality about this job, what it was going to be like. And when you got there, it was nothing like that. And that happens to us. And that happens to everyone. We're human. It's what we do. And again, I kind of really a lot of times think that it goes back to this idea that we watch a lot of TV, we read books, and in the movies and in the books and on TV, it happens for everybody. Why couldn't it happen for us? But the reality is it doesn't quite happen that way. So it's important to be very realistic. And when I say letting go of an outcome, and not forming an attachment to an outcome. Some people mistake that, me saying not forming an attachment, as meaning like don't get too close. That's not what I mean at all. It doesn't mean you can't love people and you have to be cool or cold to them. That's not at all what it means. All it means is that you understand going into a situation that the outcome is going to be different, and that if you trust and have faith that the universe is always going to bring you what's for your highest good, then you know that the outcome that's going to evolve from this situation is going to be the best one for you. And it may not match what you had in your head, and that's okay too. You're still going to end up with everything you need and want, and you're still going to be happy. But when we don't place attachments, what we lose is the suffering. We lose the part of us that gets disappointed over and over and over again because we've created these realities that don't exist. They're false realities, if you will. So some of you may be sitting there thinking like, well, how do you do that? That is so difficult to do that. I always want to have a goal in mind and I have things I want to manifest. And so I'm picturing that. So I'm going to talk about this because there's a difference. When we're manifesting, of course, there are things that we want to see, and there's nothing wrong with visualizing those things. What I'm talking about here is not placing an attachment to what's in your reality right now. So here's an example. You start a new job and you really fantasize about how this job is going to be amazing. You're going to have this awesome corner office and it's going to make you feel so fulfilled, and it's the job you've always been dreaming about. That is what you really want. But then as you get there, you realize, well, you don't have a corner office. In the interview, you realize, like for me, for example, when I started teaching, I didn't even have my own classroom. I had to travel. And I was in a different classroom every hour, and I was traveling every hour, and it was very difficult. And if I had, of course, every teacher, I don't say if I did do this. Every teacher dreams about decorating their own classroom, making it their own. And my very first year, I didn't have a classroom. I had a room that I got to share with another teacher, but it was not my classroom. I did not get to decorate it. I could decorate my desk. That was it. And I had to, again, every hour move from room to room. And sometimes it was a couple of hallways over. At first they wanted me to go upstairs and downstairs. And I'm like, are you kidding? I've got this cart. Like, how do you expect me to do that? But luckily they were able to be, a little bit more flexible with me. And they realized, yeah, that might be a bit of a pain to have to get to an elevator on top of everything else. So they tried to then rearrange where I was every hour so I was in a closer classroom. But what I'm trying to explain is this was not my ideal first year of teaching, right? I didn't have my own classroom. I had to travel. I wasn't teaching everything I wanted to teach. So it was not what I expected. And I had placed all of these expectations. I had been going to school and I really wanted this first job and I thought this was going to be amazing. And it didn't turn out anyway like I thought it would. Now, if I had really been disappointed and thought, this isn't anything that I wanted, I might have quit. And honestly, if there had been another job open at that time, I probably would have. But luckily, I was able to adjust and everything worked out okay. And then each year it got a little bit better. But if I held on to that expectation of this is what I really want out of this job and this is what I need to have, I would have been really disappointed and resentful, and I would have suffered a lot because I probably would have gone to school every day hating what I did and like cursing everyone at the school, not really enjoying what I did. So another way that I could have done that was I could have just said, I'm so happy to have a job and let's see where this goes. And that is kind of what ended up happening for me. I was very fortunate, I knew in the end, to have a job, and I appreciated that. But that wasn't how I felt in the beginning. Now, when I go to a new position, I just kind of go in with an open mind, like, okay, well, whatever will be, because if I get angry and upset that things didn't go exactly the way I wanted to, I'm going to be the one who suffers. My admin, they don't care if I'm upset. mean, that's just a fact. They don't. They have other things to worry about. And they don't really care whether this brand new teacher is mad that she has to travel. It's like, okay, get over it. Like, this is life. So I have to be the one to release things so that I'm not the one suffering, because that's what's going to happen is if I hold on to this, it has to be this way and I'm not giving up, you're going to suffer. And you're probably going to make a lot of enemies along the way because everyone's going to think that you're demanding. So you got to let go of the attachment to the outcome. Like, I'm going to get a job. It has to be this way. It has to be that way. And it's going to work out perfectly. Let go of that attachment. And a lot of times, honestly, when we learn how to let go of an attachment, things do kind of end up working out perfectly for us. And I do really believe that that first job, like, that was teaching me a lot of lessons. And a big one was letting go of the expectations that I had. And in relationships too, another thing that we tend to do is we tend to think that partners can read our minds and that they should know exactly what we need and what we want when we need it and want it, and they should be meeting our every whim. And then when they don't, we get super mad. And sometimes what we do is we end up giving more because we think if I give more, they're going to see what I'm doing and appreciate it and give more. And that's not what happens at all. The opposite happens. And what we've done is we've placed this expectation on our partner and they have no clue. So all that does is that leaves you feeling angry and resentful and thinking that your partner must be an idiot because they don't understand what you need. When really you should have opened your mouth and said, this is what I want and this is what I need. And we can talk about our needs and our wants, but we don't place the expectation on that, like, it's going to happen this way. We're going to get married in 6 months and then we're going to have 3.5 kids and it's going to happen this way. Like, when you start trying to control all of that, and really that's what it's all about. Placing expectations on things and attachments on outcomes is really more about control. When you get in there and you try to control all of those things, all you end up doing is making things messy for yourself. Because the more you try to control something, the harder it gets. It's like a struggle. And there's a reason for that, because the universe is asking us to have faith and to trust and to allow what the universe wants to bring us to come to us. And if you think about it, and I think back on all the things in my life, when I tried to control the things, I made a mess and things were really hard and it was a struggle. And when I decided to stop doing that, things just got easier. And I think that you'll find that too, but it takes a lot of trust. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with because we've been let down by people in the past. So we think that we can't trust. But here's the thing. The universe is not going to let you down. And you can trust the universe, but you've got to start learning how to do that. So how do you let go of attachments to particular outcomes? The first thing you need to do is have compassion for yourself, because the part of you that is attached to an outcome, honestly, it happens because we're afraid. We often have a fear attached, and that is why we try to attach outcomes, because we think, I'm never going to get my dream job, I'm never going to have that relationship. So it's the fear that really causes us to put an attachment to a particular outcome. So if you can imagine yourself as a small child and giving yourself comfort and reassuring yourself. It may seem silly, but honestly, I always have read and learned from doing counseling myself and working with others that a lot of our behaviors that we exhibit as adults come from childhood things and not getting our needs met as kids. And so it's important that you go back to seeing yourself as that small child and just comforting yourself and saying it's okay. Even if you need to carry a picture around of yourself as a little girl or a little boy, it's okay to do that. And then getting that picture out and just saying to yourself, to that little boy, that little girl, it's okay. Everything's going to work out perfectly. And it's okay to be a little bit scared, but there's nothing to be afraid of because everything is going to work out, and everything that's meant for us is going to come to us in perfect and divine timing, and there's no need to worry. Also, it's important to keep all of your options on the table. So another thing that I like to say too is if this is not the perfect job, there is one out there, and there are going to be multiple offers. And I don't need to be worried or afraid that this perfect job passed me by, because whatever is meant for me will find its way to me, and it will not pass me by. You can't mess that up as something is destined for you. So it's important to remember that and to say, okay, I don't have to place all of my attachment on this one job or this one relationship, because I know that if it isn't meant for me, there's something else there. I always say this, and I truly believe it. The universe will not take something away from you without replacing it with something better. So you don't have to fear that, if you blow this one job interview or if this relationship didn't work out, that you're going to be alone forever. That's not how it works. Sometimes there is a lesson, and sometimes there are things we need to go back and learn before what is truly meant for us can come and find us. But if it is meant for us, there's no way it will pass you by, and things will just work out. So it's important that you don't, I just get this mental image of somebody like holding so tightly with like a death grip in their hands and not letting go. And that's not healthy for anybody. So we need to be able to release things and know that if it's meant for us, it's not going to leave, that it's going to stick around. And that is what takes away some of the suffering. For me, it's a little bit reassuring to know that I don't have to worry, I don't have to do anything. I just have to be, and I just have to allow, and the universe is going to bring me what's for me. And I found that when I have this attitude, things start showing up and things start working out. And it's pretty incredible, because I don't even have to do a lot in order for this to work out for me. I just have to have faith and trust. And it even just says in the Bible just to have faith. What is it? The size of a mustard seed, which we all know is really small. But even just having that much faith in the universe is a big deal. It makes a big difference, because the universe works on energy. And when our energy is of faith and trust and hoping, that's all positive, high vibrating energy. If you want those things to come in, that's the kind of energy you have to have. And if you're sitting there and resisting and trying to control all day long, like, no, bring me this, bring me that, bring me this particular thing, and you're not open to what the universe could bring you, then you're just going to struggle and you're going to suffer, because you are trying to control too much of things. The sooner you realize you don't have a control over a lot of things in life. I know it seems like we do. We think we have control. We don't have control over a lot. We really don't. That's the truth. But what we do have control over is how we react to things. We have control over that. We have control over what we choose to think and how we choose to feel. And yeah, sometimes we have bad feelings and bad thoughts, and it's up to us to change that, because otherwise what we do is we go down that rabbit hole of suffering, and we just continue and continue and continue to suffer, and we're doing it to ourselves. And it is completely preventable. We can turn it around, and a lot of people, I think, don't believe that, but I'm here to tell you that you can. I know, because I've had to do it myself. There are days, especially after these past 2 years that I've gone through, where I could be in a very dark place if I allowed myself to go there. And I just don't, because what I realize is it doesn't help me and it doesn't teach me anything. All it does is brings me suffering. And it doesn't mean that I just ignore my feelings. I acknowledge them, and then I also realize there are things I can do to turn that around. I can do forgiveness for people I need to, so that I can start moving through and past those feelings. Or I can change my thoughts so that I can feel better for the day. And it doesn't mean that I never address those feelings. But there are too many people, I think, who get a little bit comfortable staying in that victim mentality. And if things don't work out the way they wanted to, they're always sitting there saying, like, it's not fair, and why is life always doing this to me? And the truth is, that's not what's happening at all. But I want to tell you what happens is usually you're trying to control everything. And when you do that, you're going against what the universe is really wanting to bring you and trying to bring you. Because a lot of people hold on to things that aren't meant for them. They try to kick down doors that are not their doors. And then they get mad and frustrated when it's not working out. And they're like, why me? Poor me. This is always happening to me. And it's like, it's happening because you're not just allowing. You're trying to control. And it's every time in my life I've ever done that, I can tell because life starts to become a struggle. And when I just let go and allow, that's when things open up and they get a lot easier. So it's important for you to really understand that letting go of attachments to a particular outcome and instead replacing it with whatever's for my highest good. Thank you for bringing that in for me, universe. I appreciate that. I love it. Thank you for always having my back, for always working behind the scenes on my behalf. I trust and accept what you're willing to bring me. And when you can go from that attitude, when you go from I have to control, I have to make this work, I want that guy, I want this job, I want this, I want that. When you can go from that to, thank you for bringing in whatever is meant for me. Like, I really appreciate it. I love everything that you've brought me. And I know what you're bringing me is for my highest good. And it's amazing. And I'm so happy about it. Everything changes. And another thing you can do when you're focused on wanting certain things in your life, don't focus on one thing. Ask for options. Because here's the funny thing. We get hyper-focused on one thing, right? Like, I want this job, teaching this in this school, in this state. And then the universe wants to bring us a job that was actually better and where you might make more money and you might have more opportunities. But because it wasn't on your radar and you only asked for this one thing, you're kind of tying the universe's hands. If I, want to give you a visual, like, they want to bring you a lot of things. And I think sometimes we think too small. We get hyper focused on just the few things we want. And then what we're doing is limiting our options because the universe can bring us anything. So why would we want to restrict that? So if you want to find a new partner, instead of just focusing on, I want this guy or this girl, just imagine having options. Imagine, whatever you want to bring to me, universe, I'm happy with. If it works out, that's great. I found that just having that attitude makes things so much easier. I just thank the universe for whatever the universe wants to bring me. And it always ends up being, there are always amazing people and opportunities that come into my life. And it is much better than anything I would have ever imagined because my imagination was not that great. So I think it's a great thing. And you don't always have to ask for options, but that's just another thing you can do that can help you kind of break away from becoming super laser focused on one thing. You can ask, okay, give me several job offers or give me several partners to choose from or whatever. You get the idea. And I don't usually even have to ask for multiple things because I've just gotten really good at being able to say I'm open to whatever you want to bring to me and to whatever flows into my life. And I'm super grateful for it as well. And anytime I've done that, like I've said, things just end up working out. And I am, super happy. And I have to say that it doesn't mean that things always worked out the way I thought it would. I want to make that very clear. There have been times when things didn't work out at all the way that I thought it would, but I tried not to have an attachment to anything. And then the way that it worked out ended up being much better than anything I could have come up with. So having that ability to release from any type of a particular outcome is only going to help you. It's going to make life a lot easier because things are going to start flowing. And I know from personal experience. And that's one of the things I heard when I was in Sedona. I heard it so loud and clear as we were walking next to the little stream there. I heard the rushing of the water. And I heard that, like, just flow with life. just be in the flow. And I know I've said it before, but I heard it loud and clearly that day. Like, I knew that it was meant for me because up until that time, like, I had just started doing that. You know, a few months prior, I was still trying to control things and I was making a mess of things. And when I finally just said, okay, just let it go, let go, see what happens. In all things, incredible things happen, things I would never even have imagined. I've talked before about my daughter and how I felt like she was pulling away. And then I clearly heard, let go, you gotta let go. Let go, let go, let go. Just be in the flow. And I did. And like this whole past month, she's been home spending time with me. And it's been amazing. And it wouldn't happen if I was calling all the time and being like, you need to come home and visit your mommy. You know, she'd be like, oh my God, go away, lady. You're annoying me. Right? You know how we are. You know how you were as a teenager. So we've got to learn how to let go. It's not easy, but letting go is so super important. So important. All right, guys. Well, I hope that was helpful to you. And I wanted to pull a card for you today. So I pulled a card from my deck, Divine Whispers, and it is Things Are Shifting. And I don't think this is any coincidence that this card came out because I do feel like energies are shifting everywhere. So the card says, you may be feeling heavy energies right now. That's because you are experiencing a shift. You, my beloved, are shifting into newer and higher energies, and you are definitely feeling it. You may be experiencing body aches, fatigue, headaches, and more. It's perfectly normal to experience this as you are up-leveling spiritually. Be gentle with yourself right now, knowing that you are beautiful and amazing things are on the horizon for you. Go get a Reiki session or a massage. Take care of yourself and know that you are most certainly not going crazy. You are just transforming into the beautiful soul that you were always meant to be. I love that. And then there's a daily mantra that goes with this card. It's, I am shifting and changing. I am becoming a better version of myself. It's okay for me to take it easy right now. I choose to put myself and my needs first right now. I love that. And I can tell you what, I have definitely felt a shift. At first, I thought it was a shift in climate, and I don't know if it is or not, but I was talking to my family. I'm like, I think my allergies are trying to kill me. But I went to Phoenix, felt great, came home, and I've had a sinus thing going on since Tuesday. And I got home Monday, and it's just crazy. It's like, what is going on? And I think that climate might be part of it, but I also think there's a shift going on because a lot of people are experiencing, again, the flu-like symptoms, and those are ascension symptoms. So I think that might be part of it too. I don't know. I just know that my body is not liking the fact that I'm back here in this Midwest climate, and it's been a little bit rough, which is why I had to have a repeat episode on Monday because I couldn't even talk out loud. I had no voice. My voice is a little better, but as you can tell, it's still a little bit weak. So I'm hopefully getting better and ascending and getting on the mend and, everything else. I myself also have to do Reiki on myself and do other things to try to help myself get through it. And hopefully you're doing that too. Taking care of yourself. Self-care is so super important. Make sure that you are doing things to take care of you. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you so much for being with me. As always, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. And you can leave me some stars on iTunes. But the best compliment you can pay me is to share my podcast with anyone you think might like it. Thank you so much to those of you who've already done that. Don't forget to follow me on social media. I go live Mondays at 6:30 Central, where I do a free card reading on Facebook. And if you show up for the live, I'll pull a card especially for you. Also, if you want to work with me, you can go to my website, melissaoatman.com. There you will see all of the services I offer. You can purchase the services directly from the website and just reach out to me either at my email, melissaoatman77@gmail.com. You can text me or message me through social media to schedule your session. I do the scheduling by hand so that I can make sure that everyone gets the time that they need. I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. As always, I am sending you so much love and light. I hope you have a beautiful day from wherever you're listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.